I'm Shannon Shipman, Purdue Extension, Ohio County Health and Human Sciences and 4-H Youth Development Educator, and I'd like to welcome you to our third installation of Let's Get Cooking Summer Squash Splendor. With me today, I have a special guest from Dearborn County. We have Marcia Parcell. Now, Marcia is the Health and Human Sciences Educator for Purdue Extension, Dearborn County, and she's here today to talk to us about how to process some zucchini and blanch it so that we can have it year-round and we can use it in any other type of recipe. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to her, and we're going to kind of talk about what the process is and how we need to do this. So Marcia, how do we get started?
Perfect. So we need our zucchini, and so what we have done is we would wash this and take the top and the end off. If there are any spots on it, remove that, but then we would grate it. And so we have grated it in advance. This is a really cool grater.
That is a cool little gadget.
So inside of here, it has a measuring cup itself. So when I'm preserving my zucchini and grating it, we're going to steam blanch it. And so I do it in 2-cup amounts because I tend to have a lot of recipes that call for the 2-cup amount.
Yeah.
So that's why I use that amount. And so we're ready to put it into our blanching pan, and we have a pan with holes in it. And we have our water boiling already. We're going to do this in small quantities when we're blanching. This is called steam blanching, which is different from blanching vegetables. Maybe some of you are familiar with if you're doing like broccoli, or if you were to slice the zucchini, then you would put it directly into the water. But you know, this fine grated, we want to steam blanch it because it'd be kind of hard to get that back out of the water.
Absolutely.
So we're going to put this on the steam then in a tight fitting pan. We just want that in there for 1 to 2 minutes.
Okay.
And so we'll go ahead, and a timer is a great gadget to have in the kitchen to help keep track of that time. But we're going to let that in there until it turns a little translucent, so the color will change a little bit.
Okay.
And
so Marcia, now with these, like with this blanched zucchini, you know, you can process it and lay it out flat and put it in your freezer. How long is it good for?
it's good for 8 to 12 months.
Okay, so you can throw it into muffins, zucchini, or you know, zucchini cake, anything like that, or you can throw it into spaghetti or casserole and sneak it in on those kids and they're getting some vegetables and they don't even realize it. Okay, great. So now Marcia, you have a garden at home. So how much zucchini do you think you process?
It just depends. You know, this year, in some reason, my zucchinis, they've had a harder time this year, but it's not uncommon for me to freeze possibly 30 bags of it. You know, it's like, it's almost that you can have zucchini every week of the year if you want, you know, 52 weeks in the year. So,
well, that's cool. Now, with your garden, like, how many zucchini plants did you plant?
I had 4 zucchini plants, so,
Okay.
well, there's more than that on a hill, but it was like a 4-pack is what I purchased from the, so, you know, there is a day in August where you can sneak it onto your neighbor's porch. I think it's August the 24th. Is that mean or what?
It's the National Zucchini Day.
No, it's really sneak it onto your neighbor's
porch. Oh,
porch.
that's cool. I didn't know. Well, I know there's so much about it. Some people would probably be like, here, take it. Here, just take it. So now let me ask you a question. So if we have like yellow crookneck squash or yellow straight neck squash, and we wanted to blanch it, will we do it the same way where you just shred it finely?
If you're grating it and you want to put it into a casserole, if you're grating it, you would do it this way.
But if you
slice it, then you're going to blanch it like you would broccoli.
Okay.
Which, that's 3 minutes rather than this is 1 to 2 minutes here.
Okay.
So we're almost up on time here for blanching this. So we have already prepared the bag to say that today is August the 18th when we're preserving this. It's 2 cups. It identifies that it's zucchini, so there's no way that we can mistake it for something else. So
now, Marcia, when you're processing, like obviously you've probably done things like pickles and things like that. Where do you get your recipes from?
you want ball-approved recipes. You want to make sure that they are tested, and so I use ball-approved recipes.
Okay.
So, and actually, Shannon, you want to hold up? So
Sure.
easy to preserve. So this is the book that comes from the University of Georgia, and that is where the National Food Preservation is housed. And so when we have questions, I go to that University of Georgia Home Food Preservation, the National Home Food Preservation site to get answers.
Okay.
So
do you ever offer food preservation classes in Dearborn County?
I have offered food preservation classes before. It just depends on the season, and needless to say, what we have had this year is that there have been lots of food preservations. Actually, there's some coming up in August.
Okay.
So we will have to share that information with
Absolutely.
our watch people viewing this, and if you have questions about those details, feel free to give us. And we are using a container that made it easy to do it by yourself, and Shannon's showing you how you want to. So now we want to plunge this instantly into cold, icy cold water, as cold water as you can have, and we want to keep it in there for about 2 minutes also, so that it is indeed cooled down all the way through. You don't have to use freezer bags, you can also use containers. This is a 2-cup container, but it has enough space to leave a 1/2-inch head space. So if you were leaving a container, a freezer container, you want to go ahead and leave a 1/2-inch head space.
And why do we need that head space?
And that head space is so that it can expand in the freezer.
Okay.
So.
So I can see over here, because like you've got your 2 cups that are already over here that you've processed.
That's right. I wanted to make sure you had an example of what it looked like. Now, if you're putting this into your freezer too, you want to spread the bags out so that they can freeze, cool quickly, and get to the solid state. You don't want to overpack this, that for some reason, you have too many packed on top of one another and they don't get cooled in enough time. So always a good idea to spread them out in your freezer. I know my mom always used to give the tip, put it on the motor of the freezer. So that was the coldest spot in the freezer. So,
I've never heard that one. That's
so, it is a nice little flat space too. So, you rotate your things off of the motor of the freezer.
That's interesting.
So, anyway.
Well, that is interesting. So now, Marcia, we've been talking over the last couple of weeks about how zucchini is rich in vitamin C, as long as you keep the skins on, that it's a good source of fiber, that it's a low caloric food, but it helps to keep you feeling fuller for longer. So it's been kind of exciting to see how we're processing all these different types of all the zucchini that comes from the garden in different ways that we can use these recipes. So far, we've combined it into breakfast, where we made zucchini muffins.
Awesome.
We did a zucchini egg casserole. Last week we did a zucchini tortellini soup courtesy of Eat, Gather, Go. So we've been really experimenting with how to use zucchini.
You really can have zucchini for every meal, everything. And one of the favorites at my house is the zucchini fries that you can bake in the oven.
Okay.
So there are lots of possibilities. I think tonight actually is a zucchini boat night, where we're going to cut the zucchini in half and put some hamburger and cheese and that in there. And
nice. Okay, so is that
she's got that pancake flat.
And as you can see, Marcia's already labeled it with the date and what it is. So we talked about that last week, and the importance of labeling our things that go in the freezer so we know what they are and that they're not from 2018 or whatever. So we want to make sure we do that. But Marcia, thank you so much. And as always, if you have any questions about food preservation, please give myself or Marcia a call. Right now, Trina and I are going to get ready to help you learn how to make some easy skillet lasagna, courtesy of fruitandveggies.org. We've got a great recipe here that's a good hearty meal for these summer nights. So far, what we've got going on here is we have our onions being sauteed in with some zucchini and some spices. We have it up on high with a little bit of olive oil, and we're going to let that saute for a bit. Next, what we're going to go ahead and do is we are going to go ahead and then add in some ricotta cheese that's been mixed in with mozzarella, as well as 2 tablespoons of Parmesan cheese. So we're going to go ahead and stir this up so when our veggies...
And what we did was we substituted cottage cheese for the ricotta. It's actually a little cheaper.
It is a little cheaper, and it's got a little bit more protein to it. And really, once it's all mixed in, you really can't tell the difference. I even have gotten my...
That's how I make all my lasagna meals.
I was going to say, I've even fooled family members with it that they never knew it was cottage cheese.
Yep.
So what we're going to do is, after those veggies have been nice and sauteed, and they're getting about there,
I got to keep stirring.
we're going to go ahead and cover them with the cheese mixture. We've also put in here some cracked pepper, as well as a little bit of parsley and some other seasonings, as well as the recipe calls for. Once again, watch the video. The recipe will be at the end. And so we've got this all stirred up. And so then what we're going to do is let those veggies saute just a bit more. And then we are going to go ahead and spread this cheese mixture on top of them. So Trina, when you're ready, I'll let you go ahead and do that.
Okay.
And then after we spread the cheese mixture evenly over the vegetables, we're going to go ahead and then put in our diced tomatoes with the liquid, as well as some tomato sauce. And then we are going to put in our lasagna noodles, and then put the lid on and let that all simmer together and cook for about, I believe it says about 20 to 25 minutes or until those noodles are tender. And we're gonna cook that over medium heat. So this is one of those quick suppers that you can have thrown together once again in less than 30 minutes. A little prep work ahead of time would be just to slice your zucchini and throw them in the fridge so they're ready to go. You could already buy the pre-cut onions, which is what we did because nobody likes to cry when they're cutting onions. And we also had the stuff on hand in the cupboard being the diced tomatoes as well as the tomato sauce. And in the fridge we just had our cottage cheese and our mozzarella cheese along with spices that were in the pantry. So really this is one of those quick and easy meals. It's pretty inexpensive and can go together and be on the table in less than 30 minutes. So, how does
It smells amazing.
it does.
Yes,
It smells so
always.
good. I'm pretty excited to have a little sample of this.
So, you want to tell them about the Italian seasoning?
So, one of the things that I love to have a spice drawer full of good things to use, but one of my go-to spices that I pretty much use in just about 90% of my dishes is what's called Italian seasoning. And this stuff basically consists of just oregano, marjoram, some thyme, some rosemary, and some sage. It just adds a nice flavor and it just enhances the taste of your food and gives it just a little bit of kick. When you combine it with a little bit of garlic powder, it makes a great sandwich topper if you mix it with a little bit of butter and then brush it on your sandwich buns before you bake your sandwiches. If you're gonna do some sliders, gives a great little kick to that. And also it just helps to enhance your sauces like your spaghetti sauces or your pizza sauces depending on what you're cooking at the time.
And the aroma is amazing.
Yes,
from
it
the
smells
spices.
so good. And this has been so easy. Seriously, we've only had about
Yeah.
5 minutes in prep work in regards to mixing up our cheese and cutting up our zucchini. So once again, you're gonna wanna look for those zucchini that are only about 6 to 10 inches in length to have that nice glossy green coloring. You wanna leave the skins on because that's where the nutrients are. And really, it doesn't take long to cut one up. We just cut it in half, sliced it, threw it in the skillet, and now we're sauteing. So Trina, how are we looking over there?
Just maybe a couple more minutes.
Couple more minutes?
Yeah,
Okay.
get it a little more
A
brown.
little more brown.
And we did wash our hands.
Hands have been washed. We're ready to roll. We took care of that. Now, Marcia brought up some really good points this morning when we were talking about this in regards to preserving our zucchini. We once again talked about the freezer bags that we talked about last week in session 2, and we talked about the importance of labeling them. She also let us know that after we have blanched our zucchini, our shredded zucchini for 1 to 2 minutes and then cooled it in an ice bath, and we get it in the freezer and it gets chilled as quick as it can, that it'll last anywhere from 8 to 12 months. So if you think about it, if you really play your bargain accordingly, you can really have vegetables
You can
that'll get
stretch
you
it out.
through the whole entire year.
Absolutely.
And you don't have to shred it to store it. You can also slice it, boil it for 3 minutes, do a cold water bath, and get it in the freezer and cool it down, and it'll still be good for another 8 to 12 months. So I mean, really, there's a lot of great ways that we can preserve food to have recipes like this year-round with stuff that's fresh from the garden, even after it's been preserved.
Right.
So, and it was really good too because we talked about the importance of using those freezer bags like we talked about last week with that thicker plastic and making sure that we have ample headspace so that the product that's in there has room to expand. Really learned a lot of cool things courtesy of the University of Georgia recipe book that she had for processing and preserving our roots and vegetables in the garden. So it was really neat. So I hope you guys have learned
Well,
something
I can't
from
wait
that
to
as
watch
well.
that because I
I
missed
know.
that this morning.
Yeah, so that'll be exciting. So anyway, but this is smelling so good. It looks so pretty already.
Yeah. And it's about, I would say it's about ready.
All
Now,
right.
once we get everything on top, how long is it going to stay covered?
So we're gonna turn it down to a medium heat, and we're gonna let it simmer for about 20 to 25 minutes with the lid on.
Okay.
So that way the noodles get good and tender. And then after we've had the time to let it cook, just want to let you know that this recipe is a great source of vitamin C because of that zucchini. It's also got a lot of calcium in it because of the mozzarella cheese and the cottage cheese, which helps us develop strong bones and good healthy teeth. It's got potassium in it as well, and it also is loaded with fiber thanks to the vegetables that are in it. And a serving size of this only consists of about 287 calories, and that's for about a half cup serving for it. And from those 287 calories, only 27 of them are from fat. So this is a really great side dish that you can have maybe with some steak on the grill or grilled chicken, or if you want to make this your meal, it would totally work for that as well.
And you can cut it down too by with the cottage cheese, get you a low-fat version.
Oh, absolutely.
Or even fat-free if
Absolutely.
you want to go that way.
Absolutely, and your mozzarella cheese is already pretty low in fat anyway, so you don't have to really worry about that. And like the olive oil is full of the good oils in it so that are good for our bodies, those omega-3s, so we have that. And something else too, if you wanted to try it, you could actually not use regular lasagna noodles, you could make your own zucchini noodles, which there's some recipes, and I'll try to remember to include a link for that as to how to make those. And you could actually make this a pretty low-carb dinner as well. So Trina, are we ready for some cheese?
I think we are ready.
Okay.
And I'll go ahead and turn it down.
Okay.
If I do it right.
Do you want to go? Yeah. Do you want to go ahead and spread that? Sure. So while Trina's doing that, I'm going to go ahead and mix together our tomato sauce and our diced tomatoes, because we're going to, after she gets all that cheese filling on there, we're going to go ahead and break our lasagna noodles and lay it on top. And then we're going to pour this tomato mixture on top of the lasagna noodles and the zucchinis, and then stick our lid on there and let it simmer for a good 20 to 25 minutes over medium heat, and then supper will be on the table. So,
and you know, Shannon, a lot of my clients pretty much are low income.
yeah.
And they might not be able to buy the lasagna noodles.
Right.
And a lot of the commodities, they get like the macaroni and cheese.
And you can totally use those
Yeah,
noodles.
you can just use
absolutely.
those. I mean, just go ahead and improvise.
Use what's in your pantry.
Yes.
Use what is in your pantry. So, I find a lot of the times too, like when a recipe calls for a certain type of noodle, I never have it on hand. I'm like one of those, I always buy like the penne pasta or the elbow pasta. So I just substitute it.
Right.
It's fine. And honestly, you can't really tell the difference. Yeah, let's go ahead and put the lasagna noodles in first, and then we'll go ahead and top it with that. And then we just put the lid on, and then we are ready to simmer for about 20 to 25 minutes over medium heat. Yeah, that smells so good. All right, so our zucchini skillet is ready to go. We've got the noodles are cooked just to the right tenderness. Our zucchini is nice and soft, and we've got our onions in there and our tomatoes and cheese. And ladies and gentlemen, we have got dinner on the table in less than 30 minutes. So I hope you'll enjoy today's recipe. I know we're sure gonna enjoy it as we start to sample it. And I hope that you'll remember to go check out fruitandveggies.org for some of the amazing recipes that they have. They're definitely healthy and definitely a good way to help you increase the amount of fruits and vegetables you're consuming each and every day. So for more information on this topic or anything else, remember to check out extension.purdue.edu/Ohio.